Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for another review. This is straight from Amazon and my God.
Yep,
Oh
restart
my
it.
God, restart.
Restart it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for another episode review. This is from the second season of the hit series Anne Rice's Interview with the Vampire. This is on AMC and AMC Plus. I am not alone this year. I'm actually here with the co-host this time around to talk about episode one and probably some more episodes. I'm here with Bizzy Brown. What's up, Bizzy?
You're never alone, champ. I'm always here. And speaking of the heart, we got to see some brutal scenes and then in this first episode, which is pretty awesome, man. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'm really happy to be back. For someone that didn't watch this while it was airing, I ended up binging it on my own. I mean, I reacted to it, but I binged it, and it was oh man, I fell in love. So I'm really happy to be here with season two.
Yeah, it's really a great show. It's really harsh, but I think the thing that makes the show so good is the relationships, like the relationships between, Louis and Lestat. Of course, man, I'm spacing on her name. How did I just
Claudia.
Claudia? Like their relationships, like solidify everything of how the story is going to actually go,
Yeah.
no matter what era they're in. The difference is now they're in between the 1930s and 1940s, so they're in the time and era in Romania around World
Yeah,
War
yeah.
II, and
And it leads
they
till
are
after the 1940s. But before we dive into it, I do want to say we start off this episode with them straight up like letting us know what's going on. They said flat out the role of Claudia is now being played by in the new actress. And I think that that was really I thought that was great cuz recasts are always tough on its own and of course uh Bailey, I believe her name was, she did phenomenal, so it's always one of those situations where it's like how are you going to top it? How are you going to do it? The new actress absolutely killed it as well. We're not going to be over here comparing, obviously, but like they both did a phenomenal job, and I'm so excited to see more of her. But I just thought it was one of those cool things that they kind of like they did they didn't need to do, and considering that we watch a lot of shows and they don't often do that. I don't know what your thoughts were on that. It's like them standing on business. Like, how'd you feel about them doing that?
I mean, the truth of the matter is, like for me, I'm sad that Bailey is not going to be playing Claudia. She did
Oh
such a
yeah.
phenomenal job. I know she's been given amazing opportunities. I mean, I don't know. I'm sad that she's no longer cast as the character. But I will say that the new actress playing the role of Claudia is doing phenomenal.
Dude.
Delaney is doing really good work,
Mhm.
and every bit of who Claudia is at her core, she's exhibiting it in so many different lanes, so many different ways. Matter of fact, there are certain scenes and lines of dialogue in this that may be some of the best that Louis or Claudia have ever done, executed by Jacob excellently, and of course by Delaney in this new role that she's in. But breaking down kind of how the episode goes, when we first see them, they're strange to each other. They're not talking. They're literally living in the ground, like in the dirt, and they're surviving off of whatever they can because at the current time where they're at in Romania, like it's just war going on. It's war, it's famine, and like it's few and far between of anything they can find. Like literally, the first scene we see is Claudia sees a body, and she goes and like realizes, oh, he's still alive, and she starts to eat him, and then proceeds to just start hacking him away until she goes and rips his heart out and just chucks it at Louis. Louis grabs it, and I'm kind of like, okay, he's gonna drink the blood from it. No, he just takes a huge chunk out of the heart, and it's kind of just like it's crazy to me how desensitized they actually are because the lines of dialogue, I think Louis has said like midway in the episode, it's like at this point now I've gone through like 7,000 souls, and
Yeah.
that's insanity to really fathom and think about because it's kind of just like I had to
That's a
say it
lot
like
of
this.
people. No,
Well,
and
it's kind of like if I don't know how many chickens I've eaten in my lifetime, right? Like I have no idea how many slaughtered chickens that
Don't
I'm legit eating.
come
But that's
on.
the way they think about humans because they're food ultimately. I mean, it's like every single time. It's kind of like if you're working on the farm and you have chickens, like you're just breeding them to kill them, to eat them, to take their eggs and recycle, repurpose, and that's how their minds are when it comes to humans. And so to hear
But
a line of dialogue like,
7,000 is crazy.
I mean, it's well to me, it's very fascinating because it's a direct contrast to Lestat. Lestat basically said, "I don't know how many humans I killed," because really he don't give a darn.
He don't care,
He
no.
didn't care, so he gave up. Like, but Louis, because he actually is a good soul, he's a tortured one, he's a messed up one, he's a flawed one, but he still is choosing to remember.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that if you're trying to like safeguard that much memory, eventually you're gonna deal with like overflow. Like, and I think that's what he's dealing with in the present day. Like, it's so much memories going on that he's trying to retain that it's just too much. It's too much to kind of hold on to. And his love interest, Armand, is trying to keep his memories at bay. But the weird thing is, if you go back to the first season, at the latter half, when he starts going through Claudia's journal, that's when he started losing composure. It was when he started like going through her journal, and again, we don't know what happened to Claudia. We just know that she's not around to tell this story, and so it's affected him on an emotional and a mental level because he's divulging a lot to Daniel in an interview, but he's like there was several different moments in this episode where he was like, "No, like why would she write this? Like she was dreaming. Like she was actually dreaming, but why don't I remember that?" And it's just these subtle things that are like affecting him on an emotional level. And I praise Jacob's performance in it, but the writing is the biggest thing, man. Like
Yeah.
it's really good writing to show two people that we've seen, in the woods literally together, to now where they're so estranged because of who they are ultimately. It's kind of brought them to this place. But
No. Man. I'm just so impressed. I mean, it's hard to kind of what's the word? Find chemistry between two actors. Of course, what we saw between Bailey and I believe he said his name's Jacob was great. But like even here, I mean, just it was just Claudia and Louis this episode, and it was so cool to kind of just see them kind of working with each other, but at the same time also bickering, and there was so much conflict. Oh man, I mean, I'm really curious to see how the next episode plays out, considering how different this episode started off. I mean, we know where this episode kind of took place, being in Romania, it being kind of just rattled with war. It was really interesting to kind of see them walk into kind of a civilized area again, and kind of
yeah,
being with that kind of group, if you will. Of course, Claudia, like she is not a child, but looks like a child.
all right,
So for her to be in that situation, to be like, hey, like I can sit at the adult table, and for them to be like, hey, like why don't you go play with the kids? And she's
yeah,
like, no, I'm comfortable where I'm at. Like she's letting them know, like, bro, who are you talking to? And it's just like even Louis was trying to let her know, like maybe the kids know, a little something something.
yeah,
And so it was cool to kind of see her go with that, and her going on her own, and of course it led to the ghoul. I mean, obviously it was a vampire, but we were like a ghoul, a zombie. Why is it like hairless? Why does it look like that? But
yeah,
it was a really interesting kind of situation because I'm like, oh, now we're introduced to a new vampire. She's gonna be sticking around this season, right?
yeah.
You would think?
We'll get there. We'll get there. I ain't gonna skip the gun. I ain't gonna skip the gun just yet. Because to talk about how they try to infiltrate, like they're just so accustomed to it at this point. And Louis, he keeps repeating the same exact pattern. Like he divulges too much information because he cares, and he also wants to belong.
Yeah, this
Right?
is my father, Robert. Two
Yeah,
seconds later, hey, I'm Louis.
Louis.
Dude.
Right. And it's kind of like the guy. He's kind of like a journalist, much like Daniel. Like he's trying to pry for information. He's Louis loves the intellectual types, the people that can probe people's minds.
Hmm.
And he kind of used like the guys, love interest as a way to kind of like get away from it. But it was just interesting because when Claudia left and tried to visit the kids, and I mean before that even happened, everybody was looking at them very strange, and it's because they were black. Ultimately, like they're like, yeah, I don't see people like you around here, and I don't know
Dude,
what
when
that
that
means.
kid called her a crow,
Yeah, Claudia just like pushed his
that was great.
pushed his tail down to the ground. But Claudia goes and like you said, we see what is considered a ghoul because the way that the vampire was transformed, it was unnatural. It harpens back to kind of what Louis and Claudia were saying to I forget the woman's name that we found at the end of the episode that the blood was just tainted. And it's interesting because we don't know if it's because of like radiation, we don't know if it's because of torture, we don't know if it's because like people like legit are dealing with mass depression, like literal depression and sadness. But they basically were like, yeah, every time we're sitting there drinking blood, it's not warm. Like even if they're alive, it's like they're dead. Like it's like they're
Yeah,
dead walking,
like
and
the
that's just
sadness,
interesting.
well, everything that they're going through already. It's just like it was leading to that. It was just really cool to kind of hear him explain it.
Yeah,
He's like everything they've gone through, the sadness, the sickness, like they're like the blood's no good here. Like
yeah.
I don't know, I just like I like the way he delivered that line.
Yeah, because it was interesting because when Claudia found the ghoul, she found the first time, man, he done pimp slapped that little girl. He
Yeah.
didn't kill her. He just was like, yeah, stay away from my food, homie.
Hmm.
And so then later on, when she let him know, they went back out to go and see if they could try to find the thing. Well, actually, no, I'm skipping the gun. Before they went out to try to see if they could capture the guy, they find out that the girl got bit. The girl that was working with the guy that Louis was trying to infiltrate with, she got bit. And the way that the Germans were handling it, they were like wearing garlic, they were shooting into the caskets. And, initially, like the girl was about to get shot, and some old lady was like, no, you have to cut off the head. And so they sitting there taking like holding the guy back. He's begging for Louis' help. Louis just kind of coldly walks back and they just slicing the woman's head off. And so then they go and try to see if they could go and bait the ghoul, get to the ghoul. Ghoul doesn't go at them. It's just like, yeah, stay away from my food, homie. And they get attacked by the ghoul's mom. And you know, Claudia didn't know what was going on. She just knew that Louis was getting attacked.
Hmm.
She freaking ripped his eyes out of his socket.
Dude, I honestly think that was justified. I mean, the mom attacked Louis, and obviously the guy was gonna retaliate and see that Louis was doing something. But I mean, like, why would you do that? I mean, obviously Claudia's gonna protect Louis. I mean, I don't know. It was just a whole mess.
Yeah. I think what it is like we don't know how long that lady's been there. And at the same exact time, like she's got to be dealing with the same exact sadness as well because she's drinking the same exact blood longer than they have.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like she's feral. Like, I mean, that's why the ghouls or whatever they are like that. And it's just interesting because even as soon as she realized, like, oh my God, like he's ripped his eyes out, he's not gonna heal because he's already deformed. And so she had to end up killing him and was like, yeah, come back with me. And she just wanted to kind of get a lasting peace. I think that the
Hmm.
moment that ghoul died, she was
She was
like,
already done.
I'm piecing out, homie.
Yeah, I mean, she
But
straight up said like she couldn't replicate it. She was like, "Oh, another dud," basically. Like, I mean, after that, she knew it wasn't gonna work out. And the fact that they said flat out like you would have better luck in like America, I think she was just like, "No, like I'm not. There's no moving for me. This is my home. This is it."
yeah.
And it was just I don't know. It was brutal.
Yeah, it was sad because like Claudia really thought she was reaching her. She even kind of offered some of her blood to show like there is a difference. Um, and the lady initially, when they first got there, is like, we own the night. And by the end of it, she's like, we own nothing. And I was just like,
Yeah, I'm like, where is this like leading to? Like, what does she mean by that?
yeah. And she just proceeds to jump right into the fire and end herself. And it's crazy because like Claudia was trying to pry for information, Louis wasn't saying, and they all told each other their names, and then the lady just decides like, yeah, I'm out. But one of the best parts of this episode is finally like Louis and Claudia having like a real breakdown together. But it's interesting because there's two parts to that. Initially, earlier in the episode, he was getting tormented by Lestat. Like he's seeing Lestat
Oh
in
my
his
god, yeah.
mind, and he can't get rid of it. And he doesn't know whether or not it's Lestat's magic that's reaching him, or if he's just being tormented. But basically, Lestat was like, "Yeah, when you're happy, that's when I'm gonna kill you."
And the
and
thing is, I mean, he knows him so well. That's exactly what would happen. You
yeah,
know, it's scary,
so
like how well he knows him.
well, I mean, we don't know if it's Lestat though.
No, we know that's not him. But like the fact is, I mean, everything he was imagining was exactly what like he would have said. Like it was clear that it wasn't him, but it was just
I don't know, man. Like, only reason why I say that is because we've seen how capable Lestat is from reaching them from across the way.
nah, that wasn't him. I can't. Oh my god, if it was that, oh my god, oh my, this is gonna be
Because
great.
the moment that Louis was like, "Yo, I'm gonna give you the hard heart, and I'm gonna give you the soft," and he just proceeds to have this in Jacob's delivery. Jacob's
Dude,
delivery and Delaney's like just sitting there and
yeah,
absorbing it
that
all
monologue. Oh my god.
was so it was so good
In that
because
moment, I felt as though that was one of the best scenes I've witnessed from this show. I mean, and we've gotten some crazy ass moments, but for a piece of dialogue to get you feeling the way kind of I feel like I felt, I think that's top tier. Like the writing, the delivery, the acting on both sides of it, the music. Oh my
yeah,
god, they absolutely that was so. The episode was already great, but that moment really like boosted it like 10 times. It was
um,
so good, so good.
yeah, because it's kind of like he was basically letting her know, like, look, like, I know this is crap, but we can't be the only good souls
Hmm.
here. Like, we're gonna find something. Like, I just need you to know that I'm a hold on. And then he kind of the soft is like, look, if you were the only vampire left, you'd be enough. And she
Dude,
needed to hear that.
100%. And for him, also, what opened her eyes was when he said, "As long as you're here, I will never throw myself in the fire."
Right.
Like that was oh my god, that's a whole short right there. Like
Yeah.
that was such a scene,
Yeah.
beautifully done.
Yeah, because it gave her a reason to move forward. Like she's been moving forward to find someone that at least she could live for.
But she has her person here, and
Right.
for her to realize that was just so good.
I mean, but at the same time, which is the tragic thing, this man to his right, to her right, he's seeing Lestat, and he's saying this to her, and I think he really
Oh,
means it. But a part of him is still just sitting there. And the thing about it, which I think will be the most dopest, messed up part about it, is if it isn't actually his mind, it's to stop messing with his mind. Because if it actually was, that would mean that this whole entire time, like, no, she actually has been enough, but Lestat can't let go. And
oh,
that would be real rough. Because I think that's my theory. I think that's what's actually happening. I think that he wasn't trying to think of Lestat in that moment. I think he was really trying to connect to her. Um, but I think just like temptation, man, it comes for you, bro. But long story short, they kind of get out, and I guess at this point it's the end of the war. They had alluded that Hitler at that point is no longer alive, and they are in France, and they're trying to find, I guess, a new life. And it's just going to be interesting to see where we go from there because that's the end of the episode. But it was a masterful first pilot episode. I wish we had looked at it earlier in the day because we could look at more episodes. But it was
yep.
really, really good. And for me, I rate this at a man. It's I don't really have any negatives on it. I think initially I was starting it at like as a 9 or 9.5, but it's the way they ended it is like
Like
a
yeah,
10. I think
yeah.
it's like a 10
I
for
gotta
me.
give it an A. It's close to an A plus, but I gotta give it an A.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really good. But yeah.
And I feel like we didn't talk about this at all, but I really gotta applaud kind of what they're doing in the present day. Again, the acting by Louis, oh my god, he absolutely was killing it. When he finally broke down and we see the tears of blood, I mean, that whole sequence where he was just like, thank you for like reminding me. I mean, that was great. Again, Armand, I'm not a huge fan of. And it's not even. I
He's the
understand that
third
there's,
wheel.
yeah, I understand there's good guys and bad guys, and I mentioned this before, but like, and I know you're not gonna like every character, but his character just it just anytime he's on screen, it's not one of those things where it's like, oh wow, like this is gonna create a problem. I'm just like, this is just annoying, you know what I'm saying? So I'm really hoping that like it ends up paying off. It's crazy. So I'm excited for that. It should be interesting.
Yeah. But no, Jacob, you showed out in Game of Thrones, but like
Grey Worm.
you're making this your own, man. I applaud you because there's so many different dimensions to this. Because like you said, in the present day, like they're trying to plot to make sure that Daniel doesn't infiltrate their minds, so to speak, or their lives. But then Daniel's like, yo, I don't care about living or dying. Y'all can play these games if you want to. I'm coming for your neck. And it's interesting because he literally is dying. So we'll see where this actually goes. I suspect that this is all going to end on this season. I don't think there's going to be a part 3 or anything like that because they literally just say part 2. But I don't know. I'm loving it. I'm loving it so far. But Busy, where can everybody find content?
Find me Busy Braun everywhere. Busy Reactions on Instagram. And for the shameless plug, you can find my interview with the vampire episode or season 1 reactions on Patreon. But I'm excited to cover season 2 over here, and yeah, it should be interesting for sure.
All right, you guys, we're gonna go. We may look at more episodes, but it's a little late, so I don't know if we'll be able to do that. We'll talk to you guys soon. Keep it locked. JVS, we ain't gonna stop. Peace, people.
Falling off the top of